So I've been thinking about this front bumper lately, and I was thinking, this is for an MS suspension chassis, typically. Can you put this on a VZ chassis? Taking a look at Precision Mini 4-Wheel Drive's wonderful, wonderful MS suspension chassis here, I decided, let's study this and see what we can come up with, and let's see if we can outfit a VZ chassis with this. Now, I know what you're thinking. I know that you're thinking, oh, well, a VZ chassis does not have the ability to add a suspension to it. Well, true. So what you need to do is you need to substitute something else to kind of like substitute for that. So you can use sponge tires. You can use this combination sponge tire and super hard tire like in the rear that you have here, and sponge and low fricks on the front like you have here. So you can do that. And so here you see this is a VZ chassis, and I did manage to put right here this single pivot front bumper right on it, and it behaves in exactly the same way as the MS suspension version. As you see here, lift this up, tilt it up even more. Yeah. Wow, what kind of sorcery is this, you might think? Well, I can explain it to you step by step. I'll show you how I did it. So pretty darn cool. So let's take a look at this top part first. So look at this. This is from Firefly. I took the top from Firefly, the cowl from Firefly. And as you know, this is the Thundershot Mark II, right, in carbon form. And yeah, I took that off and I placed it on right here, my own version of this body damper, and it is based very much so on Precision Mini 4-Wheel Drive's body damper. I made it look a little more curvy, as you see here. So yeah, this is like what I would like to see in this body damper. So yeah, I made it stiff, and I placed this on top with a single attachment point right here, as you see, and weights on here, yeah. And so yeah, it just sits and rests wonderfully right on top of this. So I'll show you. Right here, it's flat through and through. Yeah, and that's because this part here, the rear part, is actually resting against the engine right here, the motor. So yeah, it just lands flat right there. There's no tilt off to one side. I don't have to compensate with sponge on the other side, because this Thundershot 2, anyone who has a Thundershot 2 model out there, you can use this for open class, this body shell right here, the polycarbonate body shell. So cool, yeah. So take a look at what I did here, and you'll see it's pretty cool. So you'll see in the pictures, woo, right here, I created a piece, da-da-da, and I placed it right here. There's mounting points right here. So I put that right on top right there, and on the bottom I have here, yeah, there you go, a brake plate. But what's underneath? How is it that it's level with the rest of the car, right? Because if you were to attach this just on a normal standard VZ chassis, it's not going to be level. So what I had to do was I had to take the front bumper of, the plastic front bumper of an existing VZ chassis, and I shaved off everything but the two little, I'll call them nubs, the attachment points basically. And here this is layered with the plate, followed by the attachment point, the plastic attachment point, as well as a screw, and it goes all the way through. And then I have this little piece on top, and yeah, it's lock nutted in place right there, here and here. Let me give you a closer look. So here and here, pretty cool. So let me get out a VZ chassis for you to take a look at. What I did was I basically shaved off everything above this screwdriver tip. So only this part here is preserved, this little attachment point here. And that's underneath the plate. And I also had to shave down these side parts over here. I had to shave them down so that the plate would lay flat. Then I took a piece of tape, Tamiya tape, and I wrapped the front of it like that. I'm going to show you how I attached this part onto here. So let's take a look. So here I have this piece of tape that I laid across the top part of this bar here, and it continues on to the bottom part right there. And I have that there so that there's no way that this piece here can interfere with anything below this carbon plate. So without the tape, there is the potential of snagging, right? So when you snag onto this, then sometimes it might not lay completely flat when it comes back on the return. So when it goes up and back down, you want it to be a smooth transition, right? You don't want it to snag and just like stay like that, for example. You just want it to, whichever direction it turns, whether this way or that way or that way, you want it to reset back in its original position. So by having this tape here, you ensure a smooth surface, just like the front of a shaved MS car. Yeah, pretty cool. So let's reattach this on here, because this attaches in the very same way as the single pivot anchor bumper on the MS suspension chassis. And I made it slightly more than 5 degrees with an extra washer underneath. So pretty cool. So I would say it's about 6 degrees, or maybe 5.5 degrees, or something like that. It's a little bit more, so more than 5 degrees. So here, very simple, we attach the spring on here. We've got the spring cap. Spring caps are nothing more than the metal palm bearings. So yeah, and we also have a lock nut to secure everything in place. So, and you might think, oh, well, isn't this going to like loosen up over time and fall apart, and you have to keep tightening things and stuff like that? The tape on the back of this plate actually secures the screw. It's kind of a wonderful thing. Pretty darn cool. It secures it so well that it's actually difficult to remove the lock nut with this in place. So you apply a little bit of grease to the edge, to the inside part of this plate here, and yeah, you'll see that no matter which way it tilts and turns, it's going to reset back to the center. Pretty cool. Yes, very, very cool. And let's see, the back is not totally complete yet, so I will look into potentially making a mushroom cap rear anchor system on the rear, but for now it's stiff. And I have a tail damper on here that's very simple and short, so I like that. And I've got this part here to prevent snags, these little MS brakes right here to prevent snags. So, placing this on top, like so, and securing this whole thing in place with these little rubber pipes, we have a VS car that has a single front pivot bumper. Pretty darn cool. And yeah, it weighs 103 grams and lands reasonably flat. Yeah, it's not perfect, you know, but you know what? That's what we have. These two things here. We'll add a little bit of weight on here and it'll probably land a lot flatter. And you can see in the videos how well it performs. In the first video, we've got this one here, the original body damper system with the Thundershot 2, and in the second video, we have my system with the Thundershot cowl as well. So you can see the difference, if any, between the two. So I had a lot of fun basically bolting on this single anchor pivot on a VZ chassis. Pretty cool. And yeah, it's just pretty neat to see if you can do things like that, right? So yeah, if you like this video, everybody, please slam the like button, subscribe to my channel. You'll see more videos just like this one. Until next time, everybody, see you. Bye.